If you guys want coins for FC24, make sure you check out MMOEXP.com. Their link is down in the description. They're very fast, they're very cheap, they're very reliable, and if you use my code REMA, you can get yourself a lovely 5% discount. So what's up guys, it's Ash here and welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video guys, I'm going to be showing you some 5-2-2-1 ratty tactics for FC24. I just used these like an hour ago to get my 7 wins in Rivals. Ignore the skill rating and that, I don't really play that much. You can see by like the milestones, I just get my wins and stuff and then leave it. But yeah, I was using it. It's pretty ratty, really overpowered. Not my kind of thing, to be honest with you, but if you like switching the play and just getting easy wins, then it's really good. It took me no more than like an hour to get these 7 wins, so yeah, really good, man. And yeah, just before we get into the video, guys, would appreciate it if you could drop it a thumbs up, as it does really help me out. Sub to the channel if you are new, so you never miss out on any videos, and don't forget to turn on those notifications. And yeah, with all that aside, guys, let's get right into the video. Alright then, guys, so starting off with the custom tactics for the 5-2-2-1. For the defensive style, guys, we have this on balanced, as it gives you the best control over your defense. When you want to press, you can, and when you want to drop off and be a bit more passive, you can also do that. So it does give you the best control over your defense. That being said, if you want to use any pressure tactics because it's something you prefer, you can go right ahead. Moving on to the defensive width, guys, I would advise anywhere between 40 and 50. The reason I suggest this is because it gives you a nice, narrow and compact defense to block out all those attacks through the middle. Now, when I use like 4-back formations, I'll have this width on 45 because we have to compensate for like that lack of natural width because we have like one less player in the defense. But when you use a back 5, because you have that extra player in the defense, you're naturally a bit wider, so you can lower this width a bit to make yourself even more compact and then still also give yourself decent coverage of the wings. I don't suggest going any lower than this because it just makes you too narrow and you're just open down the wings. Now, moving on to the depth, guys, you have a couple of different options, to be honest. If you want to, use that 71 depth thing, which a lot of people use, you can. Now, the reason a lot of people use this is because it gives you that automatic press from the AI. It's a very strong, overpowered press where it pretty much marks the, every player on the pitch, puts a lot of pressure on the ball carrier and really congests that middle area of the pitch. So if you're not as experienced in defending or you're just super aggressive, then I would recommend 71 depth. If you're like me, however, and you want to have a bit more control, you want to be a bit more manual, you want to choose when you press a bit more, you can lower this a little bit, either with like 65 or 60. I'm going for 60, so we still have like a higher defensive line. It's just not too high either, but it just gives me more control. If this depth is still too high for you, you can lower it even more, and that is absolutely fine. Depth is all like a preference thing. It's all about picking something that suits you. Now, moving on to the build-up play, guys, I always recommend balanced regardless of your play style. Now, the reason I suggest balanced as opposed to these settings is because it is the most consistent and the most reliable, and it's actually better than all these specific settings at what they do. So, for example, slow build-up, you would have thought, I'll use slow build-up if you want to build up slowly, but I don't advise it because slow build-up, the setting is terrible. It just makes your players move really slowly and not in a good way, so it actually makes you really predictable and easy to dispossess. So you're just better off using balance. The same with like fast build up, your players just move around chaotically and don't really offer you anything. It's just a bit of a mess. So regardless of what you want to play like, I would advise balance because it's the best. The only one you can make an argument for, I'd say, is long ball, but even then you can still play long balls on this balance setting. So it's just the best and the most well-rounded. Now, for chance creation, guys, I would highly recommend direct passing. Now, the reason I suggest direct passing, guys, is because it's the only way to consistently create chances in the meta of this game. It's a very linear game. It's a very park the bus based game. So the only way to get through that park the bus AI a lot of the time when everyone's back in the box is using direct passing. Now, the reason this works is because when you use direct passing, guys, your attacking players will make these runs, and then the opposition defender will follow the attacker making the run. Once that defender's overcommitted to the attacker's run, the attacker then tracks back. So it's like a push forward, track back movement to create space between the centre backs or the defenders and the attackers, and they pretty much go one-to-one with each player on the pitch, if that makes sense. So you can basically just cut back then or pass across, and that is, pretty much the meta of this game. So even though it is very boring, I will give you that. It is very boring. It's very necessary in this game, unfortunately. Now, moving on to the attacking width, guys, you can pretty much use whatever you want, to be honest with you. I'm using 58 because it's, it's decently wide, but not too wide at the same time. All you really need to know and I'm sure you guys do, is the lower the width in your attack, you know, the more narrow you are, and then the higher the width number, the wider you are. So you just want to find that balance, or find the number which works best for what you're looking for. Now, for the players in the box, guys, I have this on 7 at the moment, but you might want to lower it, and that's fine. The reason I do this is to get a few players into that penalty area, well, quite a lot of players, but when we lose the ball, we still don't have everybody overcommitted to the point where we're not going to get counter-attacked all the time. So that is why we do that, guys. For the corners and the free kicks, I just have them both on 2. So we have the odd player in the box, but we don't overcommit again, because I don't really cross set pieces all that much, or I only really need a set number of players. I don't overcommit everybody because it's not worth the risk, and yeah, when we get, you know, when the opponent gets the ball back, you're not going to get counter attack. So that's pretty much it for that. Now, for the player instructions, guys, on this striker, we have them on the stay central and get in behind instruction. 2 very important instructions, and I you know, pretty much every tactic you find on the internet will have this on the striker. The reason being is because this is a one-striker formation, guys. You really do want them to be in the middle. You don't really need them to drift out wide because you'll have wing-backs going forward. You have the 2 wide forwards as well, so you want them to be in the middle so they can be relied upon, and you have, you know, that central striker at all times to, you know, get you as many chances as possible, essentially. So it just makes them more reliable and keeps a better shape. We also pop them on getting behind, guys. I think this is very important because it forces a run out of the player regardless. If your opponent is using, you know, pressure tactics or the 71 depth thing we spoke about, and you have this player on mixed attack, guys, they just become static. They, you know, play like idiots. They don't do anything at all. So you need to have them on getting behind to give you a chance of beating the press and to ensure that your players make movements regardless of whether or not your opponent is pressing. Now, for the forwards, guys, the wide forwards, so the right forward and the left forward, we have them on come back on defense and get into the box for cross. Now, the reason we do this is because when you put these players on come back on defense, guys, they'll sit next to the 2 CDMs behind them. So it basically makes your defense extremely solid because you're going to have the 5 at the back and then you're going to have 4 across the midfield. So it's just really overpowered. So Foden will come back next to Bonmati, and then Fekir will come back next to Hullet, and it's just very, very difficult for your opponent to break through then. So, you know, this is really ratty, but it works. And then we also have them on get into the box for cross, guys, so they do not hesitate in getting into the penalty area and offer us as much as possible when we do get to the penalty box. So, yeah, come back on defense and get into the box for cross on these 2 forwards. Moving on to this left CDM, guys, I advise having, you know, the more defensively capable one and stay back while attacking, cut passing lanes and cover centre. This is to bring that balance in the midfield. You don't want to send them both forward, otherwise if you lose the ball you might get cooked on the counter attack. So it's useful to have at least one of these CDMs back, you know, to break up the play and to you know, cut out all the threats. So stay back, obviously you don't want them going forward, cut passing lanes so they intercept the passes, and then cover centre so they cover the middle, because like I said, we have this forward coming back to cover that wider area, so we don't need them to do that. For the right CDM, guys, we give this player a bit more of a free roll, so they're going to be more box to box. So on this player, we leave them on the default settings so they can pretty much do whatever they want. The only thing we change is cover center, so that they'll primarily cover the middle as opposed to the wing, because like I said, we have the forwards coming back to cover the wider areas. For the wing backs, guys, we pop them on join the attack and overlap. This is very important because this is where the main width is going to come out in this formation. Without these wing backs, it can be very difficult to attack because it's like a nerfed 4-3-2-1. So by putting these wing backs on join the attack and overlap, they'll push up next to the forwards on the wing, and they'll give you those wider options as well. So you're going to have those 2 forwards in those like more narrow areas, and then these 2 wing backs making overlapping runs in the wider areas, so you can switch the play or cross the ball and just overload your opponent's defense. So this formation is so overpowered because when you defend, it's a 5-4-1, and when you attack, it's like just a very aggressive formation. So you don't even need to worry too much about these wing backs going forward either, because you have 3 centre backs back at all the time. So yeah, you're pretty much good regardless. So yeah, they are the tactics and instructions for the 5-2-2-1. Just so you guys know, it's not the 5-4-1, it's this 5-2-2-1 here. If you guys have enjoyed or found this useful, please be sure to drop it a like. It does really help me out. Sub to the channel if you are new, and then don't forget to turn on those notifications, guys. With all that aside, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace out, guys. Take care.